In this video, we're going to look at Chapter 3, find the error from the questions and exercises section. In this case, I'm going to grab problem number 33. First thing I want to do is paste it into my Visual Studio Code Editor. Now let's do like I normally do and just build it first. You can already see there's at least one squiggly line, so we know there's going to be problems. So let's take a look at our error list. First one, identifier getLine is undefined. So what's the problem here? Let's take a look at what the chapter says about getLine. So it happens to be in section 3.8, working with characters and string objects, because getLine is used specifically when you're looking for string inputs. So let's jump down through it a little bit, and then we can see getLine. Here's the correct usage. getLine, the keyword cin, and then the variable name. So let's go ahead and copy that. Jump back over to our editor. Compare line by line how we're using it. Okay. What we're trying to do is capture the user's name. So getLine, the first input, at least in this class, is always going to be cin. We're only ever collecting data from the user and putting it into our cin input stream. Now, on other more advanced topics, courses, you will probably use other things. But for now, just know that in this class, you will always use cin as the first argument to getLine. The second argument is going to be the string we want to put the value in. Okay. Now, we hit save. We're still getting the same error, getLine is undefined. Okay. So, let's actually build this. So what is the problem now? Well, getLine, in this case, is found in the string library. So, and how did I know that? Same way we've done with all these find the error problems. We look in a sample program, and you can see that it's including string. You can also find out from reading the chapter. Okay, so let's go back because we still have issues. Now, we've got a different issue. We've actually got a whole bunch more entries in your error list. Don't be too intimidated by that. Getting a different error message is most of the times a good thing. It means you're making progress. Okay, so the first problem we have is no instance of overloaded function getLine matches the argument list. So it may sound a little complicated, and overloaded functions are a more advanced topic. But what we can gather from this is there's something wrong with the arguments list. Now the arguments list is basically everything in between the parentheses. Okay. So what's the problem here? When we look back at how it's used, we can see getLine function reads an entire line, including deleting and embedded spaces, and stores it in a string object. So that's the key, is that it has to store it in a string object. So let's make sure that's what we're doing in our code. We're storing it in name, and we go look at name. Aha, name is set to a character. We want to actually get an entire name, not just one character of the name. So let's go ahead and change this to a string. We're going to save. We're going to build. And now we've got no errors. So let's give this a shot and see what it does. We're going to run it. Okay. It says, hi, James Wilson. To be grammatically correct, it should say hi, comma, but just a little pet peeve of mine. Now, there's one other problem with this program. It'll still run, and there shouldn't really be too many issues with it. The problem, though, is that we've got a variable that's unused. In this case, it's this go variable. Now, is it that big of a deal? Not in a small program, no. But as your programs get larger and larger, you want to be very careful about declaring variables that you end up not using. So we can safely get rid of that. Go to build, build solution again. Okay. Now, as bonus material for this video, and whether or not you watch this part of the video will be very obvious when you start doing assignments using CN next week. Why do we use getLine? Now, if you read the chapter, you should know, but I find a lot of students skip that area of the book. Let's see what happens if we were to just use CN. So let's change this to CN name. So we're going to save it. We're going to build it. You can see there's no errors. Let's run it. Now, if I just were to type in James, looks like it worked, right? Hi, James. But what if we were to have a space in the name? Do you see what happened here? It says hi, James, and it ignored everything after the space. Whenever you're taking string input, so input that could have a valid space in it, you want to make sure that you're using getLine. So here's another problem. If we were to say we want to have, let's say, city. Want them to enter their name. We want to collect it in. And then we want to say, cout, what city do you live in? Okay. Right. And then let's cin the city. So we'll say hi, comma, the user's name, from, and then output city, an end line. So we're going to build it to make sure there's no compilation errors, and indeed there aren't. What we expect to happen is be able to type in our full name, and then it'll ask what city we live in, and then we can type in our city. Let's see what actually happens though. I'm going to type in my full name, James Wilson. Now, when I hit enter, you can see I never even got my second prompt. It never waited for me to enter what city I live in. And in fact, it says, hi, James from Wilson. It took the thing after the comma, and used that as my next variable. Now that's a strange nuance about how the CN stream works. You will find this occurs anytime you're trying to use strings. You cannot trust that the user is not going to put a space in there. Whenever you're trying to input a string or have the user input a string, you must use getLine. So in that case, we can change this to getLine. And remember, our first parameter is always going to be CN name. And then we're going to do the same thing here. getLine CN city. All right, we're going to build it to make sure there's no errors. There aren't any. Now let's run it. Name, James Wilson. Now you can see it actually stopped, and it's waiting for me to put in the city. Okay. So now it's operating as expected. It'll be very, very obvious to me when you guys start submitting your assignments who watched this part of the video and who read this part of the book. Because inevitably, every semester, people forget to read that area. All right, thank you.